So I've been looking for a way to change the filament so that I can print in multiple colours. Quite like the idea of changing the writing here to a different colour. And I was thought that that was a fairly standard thing that people would want to do, and that it would be quite straightforward. It didn't appear to be so to me, at least. Okay, I'm a newbie to this, but just didn't seem to be obvious. The Cura version 15 whatever that comes with the Malyan, that has a plugin, pause at height, which you could use, but it's quite an old slicing program, and sometimes it just doesn't cut it. So you want to use a different type of slicer. You need some method of doing this that's kind of universal. So I was driven towards looking at G-code, and on investigating that, I found a code to change filament, providing it's implemented in the firmware. Now, the particular document I was reading was referring to the Malyan firmware, and I remember that this is allegedly running a version of that. So the first thing to do, obviously, was to look in the menus and see if we could find this elusive change filament option. So it appears that the implementation in the firmware of the change filament doesn't work terribly well. The next layer is offset to the right, and that's no good at all. So we're going to have to look for a different solution. The first thing, obviously, would be to insert the code, the M600 code, into the G code at the appropriate point. And this is the result of that. Still the offset, as you can see, it's quite clearly the same amount, about 1 millimeter on the next color up in each instance. So that's not going to work either. So, pray tell, what is this skullduggery? Well, I will tell you. So the first thing that we need to do is to have a look at the G code that's been outputted for our test cube. And this is an absolutely fantastic tool, the G code analyzer. I'll put a link in the description, obviously. You import the G code that you want to take a look at, and it provides you a wealth of information. What we're particularly interested in this instance is looking at the layer information. Now this gives us all of the good information that we need to set the point at which we want to change the filament. So this cube is 12 millimeters high, and we're going to split it into 3 colors, as you saw. Therefore there'll be a break somewhere around 4 millimeters and somewhere around 8 millimeters. So with this tool, as you can see, you just select each layer in turn until you get to the value that is closest to what you want. So in this instance, 3.95 is good for me. Now, how do we discover at which line of code in the G-code file is layer number 12? Well, all the hard work's been done for us. We just click on the tab for the G-code, and we can see immediately this is the line number in the G-code, and we can see that the next instruction is to set the Z height to 3.95. So what we need to do is to insert our filament change code at line 1212. This presents us with the next challenge because okay, you can look at G-code files, they're just normal text files, so you could use Notepad, you can use WordPad, but neither of those programs easily or at all enable you to know which line number you're actually looking at. Yes, you can do it in Word, but it's pretty painful. Fortunately, again to the rescue, there is a fantastic tool called Notepad, Notepad++, and we take a look at that. We can see a file here, which is the same file, the test cube file, and it gives us the line numbers. So I'm interested at the moment to find line 1212, if you remember from the G-code. All we have to do is Control G, and it searches for the line. We put in 1212, go, and here you can see the magic. So at line 1212, just find it again. What I found I had to do, and this works for me, so I'm sure there's possibly more elegant ways of doing things. Before we issue the change filament M600 code, I just tell it to home all the axes. So that's the command G28. We then issue the M600 code, which instructs the printer to execute the change filament routine, which you've seen puts the axis back up so that in a position so you can change the filament, and you just press the button when you're done and the code will resume, going to the next height to 3.95 and carry on. So again, for the next layer change, we go back to the 2D model and we can see our height. So we want to be, for the next change, somewhere around the 8 millimeters. That's a little bit too high. 7.85, that sounds good to me. So again, we can see the layer number 25, but we need to find out what line number in G-code that is. So we go to the G-code and we see that that is line 2369. So we flip back to our Note++ and Control G, 2369. There or thereabouts, we can see. So because we've inserted that code previously, it's actually offset by another 2 lines. So it's now, we have to put our code at line 2371. But we can see again, home all axes, execute the M600, and then it picks up from the next height change to go to our 7.85. So that is job done. You save that G-code and execute it. At least for me, I've only tried it from the SD card, so your mileage may vary if you're using it over Wi-Fi or USB or what have you. And I'll just give you another example of something that I've done to demonstrate the principle. So here we can see the finished article with the nice white lettering on the black Indalu.